You are no longer a safe space?
It's always white woman.
Running as an act is political.
There were not both sides in Nazi Germany, okay?
Just when you think the people yapping on TikTok can't get more unhinged, they somehow find a way. Up first, we gotta talk about this really bizarre and frankly really unhinged saga that's happening right now with a running influencer on TikTok. Yes, someone who makes content about fitness, about running, and who interviews famous people. Well, she's finding herself at the heart of a vicious cancellation campaign and insane viral backlash for daring to collaborate with a Republican. Her name is Kate Mackz, and she has nearly 800,000 followers on TikTok. She hosts a podcast, and her content regularly gets millions of views where she interviews famous people while running with them in these kind of heartwarming and fun collaborations. For example, here's a clip from her recent collaboration with professional tennis player named Sloan Stevens.
Hey! How many miles are we running today?
Maybe like one. Hey guys, I'm Sloan Stevens. I play professional tennis. I saw online that you're from Plantation, Florida.
Yeah!
And you're the second person that I ran with from Plantation.
Wait, who was the first person?
Diplo.
What? That's crazy!
Now, Kate's guests and the people she collaborates with are usually not overtly political. It's usually like actors or other influencers or celebrities, but occasionally she has had famous people that she's done videos with who are in the political realm. Like right before the election and a few months before, she did a video featuring Democratic vice presidential nominee and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Here's a clip of that.
Governor, how many miles are we running today?
Let's start with a mile and see what goes from there. Hey everybody, Tim Walz here. I happen to be the governor of Minnesota right now, a VP candidate running a mile with Kate.
We're in Central Park. What are you doing in New York City?
We're here on the campaign, 15 days left. But did you hear what you just said? We're running in Central Park. How cool is that?
Now that was unremarkable at the time. A prominent influencer collaborating with a Democratic politician might as well be a day that ends in Y. And quite notably, there really wasn't very much pushback or consternation from her Trump supporting followers, of which she has many, who are fans of running or do it or like content about fitness. The sun still rose the next day. Nobody melted down. Now, however, Kate has dared to do the one thing that people on TikTok, or at least the progressive side of TikTok, simply cannot accept. And that is humanize a Republican. She did a collaboration with Trump's White House press secretary, Caroline Levit, where Kate went to the White House, did one of her typical videos with her. Take a listen to the first clip of this.
Hey! How many miles are you running today?
No miles because we're at the beautiful White House, but why don't I give you a tour?
Let's do it.
My name is Caroline Levit. I am from New Hampshire and I am the White House press secretary, and this is the beautiful White House. We're currently walking on what we call Pebble Beach. This is where all of the press hang out.
Guys, we have to stop for a second and look at this. I can't believe you get to wake up and be here every single day. Is this a dream come true for you?
It is a dream come true. The White House is so beautiful, especially this time of year. That's where President Trump and the first family lived. And then this is the front entrance to the West Wing.
What is your roles and responsibilities at the White House?
Yeah, my job is to relay the president's message and his agenda and his views and feelings to the American people through the press.
So I watched this video when it first came out, and I probably should have guessed that it would cause this big firestorm, but I didn't at the time because it's not that remarkable. It's not that controversial. She's just featuring an important person and educating people about what her job is in kind of a neutral way. Like, what is the press secretary? Look at the White House. How does it work? She's not like pushing right-wing talking points in the video or anything like that. The one thing I did side-eye a little bit was like, you couldn't do the actual running that they normally do. Like, come on, Caroline, there's a track at the White House. Couldn't you change up and do a mile or so? Like, I don't know. I thought that was a little lame that she didn't go with the normal shtick of the influencer, but not a big deal. She's a busy woman. There was one small part of this video that came in for a lot of criticism that I really didn't get. Let's take a look at that.
By the way, this is the president's Tesla, which he so generously has told staff that we are allowed to drive if we wish to take it out. I haven't taken him up on the offer, but maybe I will soon.
If you guys see Caroline whipping around that red Tesla,
you know why.
So people are attacking Kate for an undisclosed paid Tesla ad here. And look, if she was paid by Tesla or Elon Musk or somebody to do that portion of the video and didn't disclose it, that would be unethical and potentially illegal, actually. But like, does anyone else think that's probably not an ad and is probably just an actual thing that happened in conversation? Trump has been pushing Teslas from the White House and has been very outspoken about that. So if you're doing an interview or a tour of the White House with the press secretary, like promotion of Teslas happening organically is not wild, like is not unlikely in my view. So I thought the people criticizing her for that, I thought were stretching a little bit, absent some facts or evidence proving she was paid for it, which I just don't think is true, but I don't know, I guess. Now we're going to get into the backlash. And when I tell you it is some of the most unhinged stuff I've seen in a while on TikTok, which is saying something, I mean it. But we're going to get into all of it after this. The trans debate is getting insane.
My pronouns aren't preferred, they are mandatory.
The only way to figure out what's actually going on is with Ground News, an amazing service that I've used for years and used to prepare this show. Ground News gathers news from all across the world in one place, so you can see what both sides are saying and make up your own mind. It also shows you everything you need to know about a source's ownership, bias, and factuality. Take the recent UK Supreme Court decision, for example. Using Ground News, you can see how outlets on the left are spinning it. The Independent wrote, Supreme Court ruling, just the latest curb on trans rights worldwide. Plus, you can see how right-wing media is covering the story. The Daily Wire wrote, UK Supreme Court rules trans-identifying men are not women. That's quite the difference. Using Ground News, you can get a neutral summary of every story, see how both sides are framing it, see who's covering the story at all and who isn't, and most importantly, use your critical thinking skills to make up your mind for yourself. You can get the same plan that I use, which is the Vantage subscription. If you sign up through my link, ground.news/Brad, or scan the QR code on screen, get 40% off unlimited access, which comes out to about $5 a month. This exclusive discount is available now through this link, so act now to break your media bubble and keep your critical thinking skills sharp. So the backlash started from the moment she posted the video in her very own comments section. She got a number of comments like these. Can't wait for the Putin video next. Oh, Kate, this is disappointing. 81,000 people liked that comment. Can't wait to see you run with Diddy next. Okay, that one did make me laugh, not gonna lie. But video after video after video was made by other content creators and influencers bashing Kate for daring to go collaborate with a Republican official and humanize her, God forbid. And honestly, some of it was hilarious, like this one video. Take a listen.
Runner girl gone Republican. I'm gonna speak on it as a runner boy gone Democrat. So the absolute audacity, the hypocrisy to create a community, to bring people into your fold and say, I am safe, I am for all of you, I want to learn about everyone. I'm just a girl with energy, I want to run with you, I'm safe. I believed that. I reached out to her, I wanted to run with her, and it didn't work out. So like, I thought she was someone that was worth my time. I thought she was someone that would be accepting of me. I wanted to run with her and donate money to an LGBT charity. Like, I fell for it. So to bamboozle us all and then go work with this administration, I don't care if you like didn't get paid, did get paid. I don't care if your agenda is truly just to see everyone, hear everyone's story. It doesn't matter to me. This administration is completely against the community that you have built, all of the success that you have, all of the money that you have gotten. You owe everything to them. Read the room. You are no longer a safe space.
The fact that he said, you are no longer a safe space, unironically, in 2025 was just so chef's kiss to me. So funny, so ironic. Seriously, we're still doing this absurd victim mentality where POC and minorities are, oh, they need to be sheltered and protected in safe spaces. It's giving white savior. It's giving that you don't actually respect these minorities. You think they're mentally fragile. You think that watching a video of maybe a political official that they may not support, but also might, a lot of them voted for this, by the way, is somehow going to harm them or cause them a problem or like harm her community. I don't know if you realize that, but what you're saying is that the minorities, the people of color, the LGBT people who watch your videos are like emotional toddlers who need to be coddled and protected. And that is not the progressive take you think it is. It's actually reductionist and condescending, especially because, again, some of those people might support this administration. And even if they don't, they're adults who should be able to regulate their emotions and deal with a video coming across their feed that if they don't like it, they can always just swipe away. What a wild concept, right? And I loved it because this guy sounded salty. Like he wanted to collaborate with her and she never responded. So he was salty. And I thought you were were a safe space. Maybe she just thought you were annoying and cringe. And honestly, she would have been right. Now, Tim Walz's daughter, Hope Walz, who is becoming sort of like a progressive influencer online, she joined in on this pile-on. Here's what she had to say.
Running as an act is political. And you know who taught me that? Tim Walz. The first thing he told me when I was first getting into it in high school was that running is a privilege, and being a part of the running community is a privilege that not all people have access to. Whether you do it recreationally or you race a lot or you are, at the elite level, it is a privilege. Whether it be you just having the time to run, access to funds to buy the gear, access to, healthy quality foods that fuel you as you're training and as you're running. Access to, a safe, stable situation that allows you to be in a good mental state to be able to run. All of those things are hard to come by. And if you have them and are a part of the running community, that is a privilege.
So this made me roll my eyes so hard, I think I gave myself a headache. Because, babe, the fact that your dad, Tim Walz, the Democratic vice presidential nominee, would actually tell his daughter, running is political and we got to be mindful of our white privilege that allows us to purchase sneakers and go for a jog. Yeah, maybe that's why he lost, because he is so cartoonishly obsessed with identity and he does buy into such an absurd worldview, because that's actually ridiculous. Running is not political in the sense that running is not particularly political. And by the logic here, well, you need food to be able to run. You need to be able to afford a pair of sneakers. So therefore it's political. By that logic, literally everything is political. So at that point, the connotation has no meaning. And as a matter of fact, in reality, people from all different walks of life and people of different backgrounds can go for a jog, can sign up and run races, unless, they're destitute and have absolutely no disposable income, but then not being able to run a 5K is probably the least of their concerns. It's just weird because, if anything, running is one of the most accessible sports with the lowest bar to entry and barriers to entry, so to make it a privilege thing is just an enormous stretch. Obviously, there are some things needing to be in an area that's runnable rather than lots of highways or other things, but it's just a real stretch, and making everything political and everything about privilege and all this is exhausting and is exactly why people don't like progressivism, but they really don't seem to be getting the memo. But there was more from Hope Walz. Take a listen.
So I don't really understand how platforming and administration that cuts mental health services, cuts funding and literal shipments to food banks, cutting, funds to climate initiatives and actively hurting the planet in that way, sending people away without due process, villainizing minorities. All of those things are preventing people from getting into the running community, which is what I thought Kate's platform was for. But it's also just damaging to society as a whole. We should not be normalizing these people. I'm not going to tell anyone what to do with their page, but I think it's insulting to my dad to leave a certain video pinned, especially when he stands for quite literally the opposite of what this administration is doing. You don't get to both sides this. It's not both sides. We are quite literally talking about good versus evil here, and I'm just really disappointed the whole thing happened.
Well, guys, didn't you know? Hope Walz, at 24 years old, understands what's good and what's evil, and she's decided it all for us. None of these issues are complicated or complex at all. She has spoken. So now the debate is really settled. Everything about this take rubbed me the wrong way. You shouldn't platform. Anyone who uses the word platform as a verb is 9 times out of 10 going to be making a silly point or just trying to shut up arguments rather than refute them. But in this case specifically, the idea that some TikToker with 800,000 followers is platforming Caroline Levit is ridiculous. She's the face of the White House every day. Every news station in America picks up her message. Clips of her go viral every single day. She's literally reaching hundreds of millions of people all the time. One little running collab video that's not really political isn't going, or at least not partisan, isn't going to make a difference. You're not platforming anyone. There's just this real problem where influencers vastly overestimate their own importance. They are important. They do have influence. But in their minds, they're like the gatekeepers to all of society, and you're really not. And I love this idea that you can't collaborate with someone if they disagree with spending money on Green New Deal style climate change programs. Really? as if that's going to make any difference. Whether we spend, a few $1 billion more on electric vehicle subsidies, yeah, that's really going to change whether the environment outside is okay in your local neighborhood for you to go to a run. The math is not mathing. And I love how she's like, I'm not going to tell you how to use your platform, but here's how you should use your platform. Like, come on. And also just the entitlement that, like, you shouldn't be able to keep my dad's video on your page if you're also going to platform the other side. That's what always strikes me about these kinds of progressives. It's certainly not all liberals, not all Democrats, not all progressives, but some of them seem entitled in this way that, like, they shouldn't even have to share the same spaces with the other side. The other side doesn't even deserve an equal hearing or their chance to make their perspective or their personalities seen and heard. And that's just a degree of entitlement that you are not entitled to in a democratic country where people get to choose from both options. You don't win by default, and the entire media ecosystem is not supposed to be in the tank for you just because you're the liberals. Now, sometimes that's how it works out, but that's not how it's supposed to be. And kudos to Kate for not doing that with her platform. Now, I saved the craziest video of all for last. Take a listen to this video, which got over 1 million views, over 100,000 likes, lashing out at Kate, in part because she's a white woman or something.
My name is Kate. I'm a running influencer, and I do not use my social media to platform fascists with some like both sides shit, when we really know, if you look at history, like, there were not both sides in Nazi Germany, okay? Ask a fucking historian, read the fucking news, read a fucking book. It's always white women. It's always fucking white women. And I feel like with my platforms and like when I'm making these political videos that are speaking to influencers, I am speaking to these white women influencers that have huge followings. Like, hey, if you want to say like, I'm uneducated about politics or I want to stay neutral with my platforms, you are telling your followers of color that are trans, that are impacted by the Trump administration, that are immigrants, that you don't give a f about them. Kate Mackz put something up on her story like, I'm getting so much hate for doing this interview, like what the f. Yeah, obviously you shouldn't get hate, but you did something. It was an action that you chose. You chose to take a check from the Trump administration, and there's consequences from it.
I am begging woke people to learn about any other historical example. Like, literally, can y'all just come up with one comparison to a different time period than Nazi Germany? Because it is so tired, and as extreme as I honestly think this second Trump administration has been, and as much as I disagree with some things that they are doing and really object very strongly to some of them, comparing them to a fascist regime that killed 6 million Jews is absurd. And it is offensive to the Jewish community, to the memory of Holocaust survivors, to politicize and weaponize their trauma and their suffering in that kind of a way. And again, spare me this platforming nonsense. Caroline Levitt has probably the biggest platform in America right now, second only to Donald Trump himself, or maybe Elon Musk. So some influencer doing a fun QC video with her is not moving the needle on that whatsoever. And again, you probably shouldn't accuse Kate of having taken a check from the Trump administration unless you have some proof of that, because I can tell you it is not normal for a collaboration like this that the White House would be paying the influencer. Now, it's sort of beneficial to the influencer because they'll get exposure, they'll potentially get a lot of views, and it's a cool experience. So like, it's benefiting them. I don't know this for sure, but I find it very unlikely, being in a similar business and space, that the White House directly paid Kate for this collaboration. And you shouldn't be suggesting that unless you have some evidence, and the evidence was not in the room with us, not in this one. And again, like, making this all about white women this, white women that. Democrats and progressives, especially the online TikTok types, need to learn America does not like your collectivist identitarian language and rhetoric and the way you carve people up into groups and lump us all in together. How about you start treating people like individuals and stop with the constant group demonization and stereotyping while having the audacity to call yourself progressive. This whole saga just strikes me as incredibly unhinged, and it feels like something that should have been left behind in 2020. Like, I thought we weren't doing this kind of cancel culture stuff anymore, but apparently, at least on TikTok, they haven't gotten the memo. To be clear, Kate probably should have anticipated that this would not be a popular decision and that she would get a lot of pushback, but I don't blame her if she didn't expect it to get this bad. She's basically been the villain of the internet for like a week, all because she did a video with Caroline Levitt that humanized her, that showed her, explained about her as a person, and didn't really push a partisan agenda or right-wing talking points so much, but just got to know her, just put a personality behind, the combative figure you see on TV and the political political figure. I actually think we need more of that in our politics, not less, remembering that no matter how strong our disagreements are, the other side is still human. They're still multifaceted people with shades of gray who are, in almost all cases, not all good or all bad, because it's the dehumanization, it's the black and white thinking that eventually bleeds over into political violence. And whether it's the cult of Luigi Mangione, whether it's the assassination culture, whether it's right-wing political violence, any of it, I'm strongly against it. But seeing the other side as people still, as having aspects of humanity and personality that we might not know just from their political, like, kind of spearheading as a political figure, is actually really important to avoiding a dark, dark future of this country where political violence becomes more prevalent. So I think Kate did something positive and certainly doesn't deserve this degree of backlash. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments, and please do consider subscribing if you haven't yet, and do hit that like button while you're at it. Plus, remember to send voice notes with your woke horror stories, your personal scenarios that you need advice about, or anything else you want to pick my brain on for me to respond to in an upcoming episode. Plus, check out my Brad vs. Everyone merch line linked in the description.